This video was brought to you by YugiohMint.com. Check out their selection of over 20,000 cards and prices better than TCG Player. Alright, what is up YouTube? Qliphort here. Making another Yugioh Mint discussion video. Today we're going to be looking at the second place deck profile from the San Jose Regional this weekend. He lost to Cyframes on the bubble. If you guys are looking to place an order from YugiohMint.com, enter Robbie on checkout and save some money. So, let's talk about Qliphort and their impact on the meta. We're going to be looking at Ziad's, I don't know how to pronounce his name's list from San Jose this weekend. Like I said, he got second place, losing out to Cyframes, and that's not a very good matchup. You never want to be against the Cyframe player in the room. So we're going to look at his list here in general, and then we'll go into some more tech choices and discuss a little bit more of the meta choices that you have. So 10 monsters for this build. Some builds opt for 8. I believe he wanted more of a generic answer to a lot of decks. There's definitely nothing wrong with having a larger skill tree, especially with Qliphort itself. Some of the issues with the 8 monster builds is once 2 are in your scales, that gives you 6 resources, and having the ability to search for 9 other options with scouts definitely good. So we'll quickly go into the list here and we'll discuss a couple of things. So 1 monolith, 1 scout, 2 carrier, 1 disc, triple helix, and 2 stealth. Some builds I've seen only play 1 stealth. I don't know if I agree with that, honestly. Definitely the fact that you get the bounce for pretty much free and you can't have your opponent chain to it, pretty good. So of course, spells: triple Card of Demise, 2 Forbidden Chalice, 1 Laser Qliphort, 2 Necro Valley, triple Duality, 1 Sacrifice, triple Summoner's Art, 2 Monarch Stormforth, and 1 Upstart Goblin. Traps, we have a little bit more tech variety here. 1 Bottomless, 1 Drowning Mere Force, 1 Macrocosmo, 1 Recreate, 2 Rivalry of Warlords, 1 Skill Drain, 2 Solemn Strike, 1 Solemn Warning, 1 Soul Transition, and 1 Emptiness in the main deck. Now, you're probably looking at this and going, why the little techie things here? Generically, Forbidden Chalice to negate on-board monster effects. Very rarely do you need the extra 400 to get over something, but it's one of those multi-purpose cards that works double ways. Laser Qliphort, a lot of players are opting to play for the additional normal. Definitely no reason not to play it, I guess. I mean, on the some off chance that your normal summon Qli would be negated, okay, but it doesn't happen in this format. Necro Valley, a lot of players are bouncing between 2 or 3. It just honestly depends on how much problem you're going to have with graveyard resilient decks, and it's definitely a call based on the player. It depends if you can do anything else in your tech slot. I mean, you can honestly drop Upstart if you want to play another Necro Valley. It's all really up to you, but that old Patrick Hoban saying of having a 39 card deck, definitely not bad. Of course, triple Duality to make sure you have maxed out options. Triple Summoner's Art to make sure you can get to your 2 normies. 1 Sacrifice is pretty much stable. And then Stormforth. So, Stormforth is probably one of the most powerful cards of the format, possibly getting restricted in the near future. Being able to chain this to any anti-spell at the beginning stages of the game, the ability to move your opponent's non-targeting ship out of the way, to summon a much bigger monster. I mean, you have plenty of large resources to get a monster onto the board. And it's not only are you basically playing Monarchs because of Stormforth, you get some of the most broken abilities from these, and plus it's not like you can't pendulum summon them all back anyway, but that should be common knowledge. Traps here, Bottomless just for generic removal. 1 of Drowning, definitely one of those things that if you're playing against a greedy player that wants to try to take advantage of the situation, you can very much punish them with Drowning. It's definitely a very ridiculous card in the aspect that it's it's just rewarding to you. Much like Gores was back in the old days. Definitely a lot of power in this stupid card. Macrocosmos is just a very good floodgate. Same thing with Qliphort. I mean, the thing with Qliphort now is there's not a lot of effects like Senju and Manju that you really have to worry about with Qliphort. But definitely still something you want to play. Rivalry and Gozen. So this is a discussion a lot of people have been playing. I'm thinking that Rivalry is just much better because of all of the types that are amongst them. I mean, this thing really can hit Monarchs pretty hard. It can definitely screw over Pepe. Definitely puts a stranglehold on Cosmo. I mean, granted, all the big ships are machines, but all the little pilots are psychics. So you can definitely put some kind of control on your opponent in that aspect. Skill drain pretty much stable. Obviously, just 3 Solemns. Definitely leaving the extra tech slot, I would say, to the Soul Transition. You could very well play 4 Solemns if you run. Soul Transition is just additional draw power for pretty much free for no reason. And Emptiness, just another busted floodgate to help you control your already terrible matchups. Side deck, 2 Dark Holes, another Necrovalley. He definitely had it if he needed it type of thing. 1 Regeki, 1 more Stormforth, 2 Chaos Trap Hole, triple Imperial Iron Wall, 2 Magic Deflector, 1 Climate Change, 1 Rivalry, and 1 Soul Drain. Let's talk about a couple things here. Chaos Trap Hole as opposed to the side or in the main. Definitely something to consider here. You obviously have access to this if you need it for games 2 and 3 against Monarchs and Cosmo. If you definitely don't have it in your main deck, you have access to it in the side. It's a little bit more techie player preference. I mean, obviously, you could cut something like Bottomless if you wanted to play this main deck, but still, having that 2,000 life point cost might not be something you want to fuck with. Imperial Iron Wall, pretty self-explanatory for Cosmo. Magic Deflector, a lot of people prefer this for the Monarch matchup, even though it can be multi-purpose for several other matchups. It depends how you feel about Monarchs. You could play this or Mask of Restrict, and I'll talk about that later. Climate Change, pretty much always a staple for quite a few Qli players in the side. Another Rivalry, and then Soul Drain once again just for additional heat on those graveyard effects. Extra deck, not super relevant, but we'll still talk about it here. 1 Dweller, 1 Diamond Dyer, Felgrand, Cowboy, Gaia Dragon, Full Armor, Titanic, Utopia, Volcasaurus, Prime, 7 Sins, Pain Gainer, Dark Matter, and, of course, the other 2 Utopia brothers. So, granted, I'm not 100% on the extra deck, because the Felgrand could have been something else, but don't quote me on that. He didn't super go into anything. He even said in his initial post that he didn't realize why he put 7s in there. So, alright, a couple of tech choices I've seen other Qli players playing, and I'm just going to bring them up here on the board. So, Huge Revolution is over. Obviously, when a spell trap card effect activates, that destroys 2 or more cards on the field, negate the activation, and if you do, banish it. So, you're basically using this as a way to make sure your opponent can't kill your stuff. I'm not saying that this card is super good. I'm saying that this is something that a lot of players tend to like to use. It's kind of strange. You're basically playing a win more card to ensure that your setup is locked down. But as a one-of tech copy, sure. Next up, for the side, this is pretty much a no-brainer. This System Down in Chimera Tech. Obviously, if you have a Qli in your scale, you cannot special summon monsters except for clean monsters. So Cyber Dragon and Chimera Tech might not be the way you want to go. System Down, I don't know in what world removing, machine type monsters from your opponent's graveyard would hurt you. Definitely Imperial Iron Wall is another excellent counter means to it, but you have options to rotate these two if you really, really want to. Obviously, this is also probably just a win condition to clear your opponent's field, and this prevents your opponent from making a move on their turn. So you're basically sacrificing explosive play for more of a control play. It's definitely something to keep in mind. Obviously, if you have a much larger budget, we have the young Cherry Blossom girl. Can't find her. Oh well. So, Snow Blossom. Yes. Never mind. I quit. Snow Blossom. Alright, I give up. I can't find it. So, the little snow chick that lets you reveal a card in the extra deck to stop your opponent from making any kind of play. I mean, let's look at your extra deck here. You have a lot of things that you can't use. Being able to reveal a Dante, granted your matchup against Burning Abyss is probably good, or Burning Abyss isn't even an actual threat to you. It's definitely something you can play an Ignister as well down here to just better some of your terrible matchups. I mean, hell, even being able to reveal Cyframe Omega to make sure that your Cyframe matchup goes a little bit easier might not be a terrible idea in the long run. Just a few ideas. And then, of course, the last card to discuss here is Mask of Restrict. As we were talking about earlier with Magic Deflector, Magic Deflector is multi-purpose, as I was saying, but if you feel that you need to make your Monarch matchup all the easier, you can definitely board in 3 of these and 2 Chaos Trap Ball. You shouldn't have any real problem, especially having such powerful cards. And it's also not like you don't bring in Soul Drain and probably another Rivalry to make that matchup even better. A few people have been playing Gozen as well. Gozen is the card that's for Attribute. If you're not sure what Attribute is, this is Attribute up here, and then type is down here, Machine. Definitely doesn't hit as super hard as Rivalry does for the type, for the combo decks, but it's definitely something you might want to consider having an extra resource of. Maybe something to consider in the side deck. His side is pretty spot on. Maybe you can cut Necro Valley. I don't know why you'd want to. And then you have other cards to rotate with these that basically will accomplish the same thing for you. Granted, Imperial Iron Wall is probably a little bit better than System Down for the matchup, because you are attempting to play Control, and just knowing that most people aren't even maining MST, let alone Twin Twister this format, you should have a pretty amazing game 1 against pretty much all of the meta, making your life all of the easier amongst the little tech choices that you can adjust in your deck. I mean, hell, you can go so hard as to play Triple Drowning and Mirror Force if you really want to make your anti-meta deck all the better. And like I was saying with the Cherry Blossom Girl, like, you have an extra deck that you can use certain cards of. Other cards you could just take out and play Snow Bunnies and ensure that you can make your extra deck just a little bit better in certain matchups. So it's all player preference on certain technical choices. Other things you obviously need to play. I mean, some of the original Qli decks weren't even playing Monolith, and look how it evolved. I mean, you gotta make up for that extra normal monster and make sure you have an additional target to pull. So, this is Qli Nation. Definitely kind of cool to see how the deck evolved from the explosive diarrhea that it was in previous formats to not being totally dead with Scout at 1. Seeing it back on top with a much different light with Card of Demise, and taking advantage of probably some of the best anti-meta cards and floodgates in the game at this time. So guys, leave a comment down below. Remember, check out YugiohMint.com. Hope you guys enjoyed this discussion. Remember to enter Robbie on checkout and save yourself some money. So they're always trying to be cheaper than TCG Player on their cards, so definitely should check them out if you're looking to save some money. Alright guys, I'm out. Peace.